So let's read this passage, and this passage too came in CAT 2018, and it has, I think, 4 to 5 questions. And this question is from science, and it's again similar to kind of research study that has come in some of the CAT RC passages. So we will read the passage first, and then we will go ahead and take the questions. The first para says, "Not everything looks lovelier the longer and closer its inspection, but Saturn does. It is gorgeous through earthly telescopes. However, the 13 years of close observation provided by Cassini, an American spacecraft, showed the planet, its moons, and its remarkable rings off better and better, revealing finer structures, striking novelties, and greater drama." So what we have in the first paragraph is the idea that Saturn has been observed by Cassini, an American spacecraft, and the author said that it is striking and so on and so forth. Read the second paragraph. The second para says that by and large, the big things in the solar system, planets and moons, are thought of as having been around since the beginning. The suggestion that rings and moons are new is made even more interesting by the fact that one of those moons, Enceladus, is widely considered the most promising site in the solar system on which to look for alien life. Now, many a time in the RC passages, people will find that there are jumps the author takes without speaking about that jump. And a similar jump can be seen in the second paragraph here. So if you go to the second paragraph, in the very first sentence, it says categorically here that by and large, the big things in the solar system are thought of as having been around since the beginning. So big things means what? The planets and moons. The suggestion that rings and moons are new. So what it is thought is that it has been there since the beginning, but the suggestion comes that it is new. So the author hasn't mentioned that, but he could have bridged the gap between these two sentences by saying that this thought is incorrect, this thought has been challenged. He has simply said that big things have been thought to be there since the beginning of time. The suggestion that the rings and moons are new. So there's a leap and there's a gap. Some kind of thing has come, but deliberately it has been removed. And it says that suggestion that the moons and the rings and the moons are new is made even more interesting by the fact that one of those moons, Enceladus, is widely considered the most promising. So Enceladus is the moon of Saturn. It's the most promising site in the solar system to look for alien life. If Enceladus is both young and bears life, that life must have come into being quickly. This is also believed to have been the case on Earth. Very true on Enceladus, that would encourage the idea. So what do we have in this? In this para, we have the idea that there is a moon of Saturn, and I don't know how to pronounce it. I would say Enceladus, and the moon has high probability. There's a possibility of alien life, and similar to the Earth case. So similarity has been drawn between the two. One reason for thinking Saturn's rings are young is that they are very bright. The solar system is suffused with comet dust, and comet dust is dark, leaving Saturn's ring system, which Cassini has shown to be more than 90% water ice, out in such a mist is like leaving laundry hanging on a line downwind from a smokestack. It will get dirty. So the author says that the solar system is suffused with comet dust, and comet dust is dark. Leaving Saturn's ring out in such a mist is like leaving laundry hanging on a line downwind from a smokestack. It will get dirty. The lighter the rings are, the faster this will happen. For the less mass they contain, the less celestial pollution they can absorb before they start to discolor. Jeff Cusey, a scientist at America's space agency NASA who helped run Cassini, told the Lunar Planetary Science Conference in Houston that combining the mass estimates with Cassini's measurements suggests. Now people, there will always be lots of technicality. And the example of the technicality can be seen here. He says that Jeff Cusey told the Lunar Agency that combining mass estimates with measurement and so on and so forth suggests, this is very important. The technical thing has been done, but what do we learn from it? We learn that the rings are no older than the first dinosaurs, nor younger than the last of them. So the rings are no older than the first dinosaurs and nor younger than the last of them. That is, they are somewhere between 200 million. So from whatever calculations they have done, they have concluded that the rings are not older than 200 million and no younger than 70 million years. This is what we get to know about Saturn's rings. And then later on, the author says the timing fits well with a theory put forward in 2016 by some scientists in California. This suggests that at around the same time as the rings came into being, an old set of moons orbiting Saturn destroyed themselves, and from their remains emerged not only the rings but also the planet's current suite of inner moons, Rhea, Dione, Tethys. So we have the other moons, and the author suggests how they were formed, right? And then he says Dr. Chuck and his colleagues used computer simulations of Saturn's moon's orbits as a sort of time machine. Looking at the rate at which tidal friction is causing these orbits to lengthen, they extrapolated backwards to find out that those orbits would have looked like what those orbits would have looked like in the past. They discovered that about 100 million years ago, the orbits of two of them, Tethys and Dione, would have interacted in a way that left the planes in which they orbit markedly tilted. But the orbits are not untilted. The obvious, if unsettling, conclusion was that this interaction never happened. And thus, at the time when it should have happened, Dione and Tethys were simply not there. They must have come into being later. So again, the age factor of Dione and Tethys has come into picture. So whenever you read a paragraph, you have to draw the gist from that paragraph. And the gist of this paragraph is that Dione and Tethys are younger. The gist from this paragraph is that the moons of Saturn are younger and they have been formed from the earlier moons. The gist of this paragraph is that the rings and the moons are between 200 million and 70 million years old. And in the previous paragraph, we talk about Enceladus, which says that it is young as well as the probable place where life could be possible. And the first is just an introduction. So if you map the passage, definitely you get to know that the passage is about Saturn's moons, no doubt about it. And apart from talking about Saturn's moons, the author discusses Saturn's rings, right? So you have Saturn's moons, you have Saturn's rings discussed by the author. And that's it. I mean, we can go and take the questions, right? So it says here, data provided by Cassini challenged the assumption that. So this is something I had discussed while reading the passage. I told you that it is challenging the assumption. Now the problem is the assumption is not very clearly stated, but it is subtly coming in the passage. Here in the first sentence of the second paragraph, it says, by and large, the big things are thought of as having been around since the beginning. So people think that the big things are there since the beginning, but Cassini suggests something new. So can we say that the data provided by Cassini challenged the assumption that all big things in the solar system have been around since the beginning? It is challenging this. And the data by Cassini suggests that they have not been there around the beginning. They are young, and the examples are Saturn's rings and moons. And if you look at the other choices, it says Saturn's ring system is composed mostly of water and ice. This is something that they have discovered, but then there is no assumption around it. So option 1 could have been correct only if there had been an opposite assumption, in the sense that they found that it is water ice, but then they might have thought earlier that it is something different. But what they thought earlier is not given. So there is no challenging as such happening here. There was life on Earth when Saturn's rings were being formed. Now again, this has not come in the passage. New celestial bodies can form the destruction of old celestial bodies. Again, this is true, but then it is not something that the opposite of this is being believed by people. So you cannot say this. I mean, I would say 4 is the best choice and the right answer, because all the other choices are not challenging anything. Only 4th is challenging. Why? Because people believe that all the major things in the system have been there since the beginning of time. And option 4 is coming and challenging that. So what is the main objective of the passage? Question number 2. Now, as we know that the objective of the passage has to be something around which the whole passage is revolving every now and then. So recurring ideas should be the focus of the passage. Now, establish that Saturn's rings and inner moons have been since the beginning of time. No, they have not. They're challenging it. So the opposite of this is true. demonstrate how the orbital patterns, this is too specific, orbital patterns uh, have come maybe towards the end, and they have come as a supporting idea to the main idea, which is the age of the moons and the rings. Highlight the beauty. The beauty is not the concern. So can we say that fourth is the best choice? The recent creations. The passage definitely is about Saturn's rings and moons, and it is about the age of these, and secondly the evidence from Cassini and others. So everything fits in. This is the best choice and the right answer. Question number 3. Based on information provided in the passage, we can infer that in addition to water and ice, Saturn rings might also have. So Saturn's rings might also have. Now we know that Saturn rings were formed from old moons, right? The old set of moons orbiting destroyed themselves. So if the moon destroyed itself, definitely it must have had rock particles. Helium definitely is not coming into picture. So you have choices either to choose rock particles and methane, or rock particles and comet dust. Comet dust is already suffused. The author has said clearly that it is suffused with comet dust, and comet dust is dark, leaving Saturn's ring system. So comet dust will not leave Saturn's ring system. It will definitely darken the ring. So comet dust definitely is a part. So we have answer 4 as the right choice. So you have 3 back-to-back choices as 4. Never think that there cannot be questions which have back-to-back the same answer, the same number. The choice of answer is the same. So question number 3 is done. Now let's go to the question number 4. It says that the phrase leaving laundry hanging on a line downward from a smokestack. What does it mean? It means that the rings will discolor and darken over time. Now how does it mean? See, for example, if there is a smokestack from where the smoke comes, and if you are hanging a laundry around it, the smoke will definitely make the laundry dirty. But if the laundry has not become dirty, what do you conclude from that? That the smoke is definitely there. But if the laundry has not become dirty, that means basically that the laundry has been kept just a few moments back. The longer the time for which the laundry is exposed to the smokestack, the dirtier the laundry will become. And if the laundry is clean, that means it suggests that it has been placed around the smokestack comparatively recently. That is what is happening with Saturn's rings. The Saturn's rings are bright, right? So if they are bright, that means they have not been made dirty by comet dust. And if they have not been made dirty, that means they have been there not from a very, very long time. And that means they are young. That's why the author says leaving out Saturn is in such a mess is like leaving laundry hanging from a smokestack. It will get dirty. So the fact that it hasn't got dirty means that it has been recently created. That is how the age factor comes into. The author is guessing the age. So the phrase leaving laundry hanging on a line downwind used to explain that the rings discolored and darken over time. If they haven't darkened too much, that means they have not been there since a long time to get affected by the smoke comet dust, and therefore they are young. So I hope you understand the context. 2 is the right choice. All others are there. Just go out. Based on information provided in the passage, we can conclude all of the following except. Now that is one which we cannot conclude. And what is that? So Saturn's lighter rings discolor faster with greater mass. Lighter rings discolor faster than rings with greater mass. Again, not given in the passage. So it says that we can conclude all of the following except. Saturn's rings were created from the remains. Yes, it is given. We have read that. None of Saturn's moons ever had suitable conditions for life to evolve. No, this we cannot conclude. Euclides has that, right? So 3 becomes straight away the choice. And Tethys and Dione are less than. Yes, they are less than 100 million years old. Why? Because the age of the moon, the author has said that they would have, actually, this would have happened 100 million years ago. The orbit of both of the moons would have, something should have happened to them. They would have interacted. But if they have not interacted 100 million years ago, that means they were not there. So the age is less than 100 million years old. Yes, fourth is definitely is true. So third is true, fourth is true. Fourth is true, two is true, and therefore they both go out. Three, why? Because Enceladus is the moon that has life's possibility. So we know that three is the choice. Now, when three is a choice, then do you need to check one? Saturn's lighter rings discolor faster than rings with greater mass. So it is given here that the lighter rings discolor faster. It says here, right, that the lighter the rings are, the faster this will happen. For the less mass they contain, the less celestial pollution they can absorb. So lighter rings will discolor faster. That means less mass will discolor faster. Are you getting my point? Lighter rings will discolor faster, less mass will discolor faster. That basically means that lighter rings discolor faster than rings with greater mass. Light ring means less mass. Less mass means discoloring faster than with greater mass. So option 1 is also correct as per the passage.